to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, recruiting in yoga pants. So this week we're going to dig into AI in recruiting. This is a topic that's got people a little flustered. There's some confusion around this. And so hopefully this video will help clear that up. I want to talk specifically about one tool that I use quite often. There are a number of tools out there that you can leverage. This is not a sponsored video by any means. I'm just talking about it because it's something that I'm familiar with, and in the interest of transparency and helping job seekers understand how recruiting happens, I'm going to share my personal experience. So not a commercial, although I am going to say very nice things about this tool because I love it and it saved my ass multiple times over the years and made me look really smart to my hiring managers. Just saying. Okay, so I use a tool called HireEZ. And there's a number of tools out there that do similar things. I've got, colleagues who swear by a competitor tool. I've got friends that use, stuff I've never even heard of. So this is not the only option. This is just one that I'm personally very familiar with and I like a lot. So I'm going to kind of hone in on that one and walk you through how I use it. So the idea around the AI search part, I'm going to get to that. But basically that's just an opportunity for me to set criteria of what I'm looking for in a profile, and then the system is going to learn my preferences. It's going to ask me questions. I get to, kind of thumbs up, thumbs down. So we're going to get into all of that. So hang on, we'll circle back on this. But I want to talk first about the labor market insights because this is a very important first step when I'm first opening a role. And this is how I'm also making sure, to the best of my ability, that my job postings are fair, that we are screening in more effectively, and we're not limiting by using too many basic qualifications or unusual technologies or unrealistic expectations. So HireEZ has been phenomenal for just helping me educate hiring teams on how their job descriptions and their wish list can impact sourcing. So this is great. So two systems typically, right, that I might be using on a day-to-day basis. And I want to point out a very important difference, okay? So I have HireEZ. This is my sourcing tool that I'm going to talk to you about. This is a third-party application. This is not, you ready for this? Not my ATS. HireEZ is up here. ATS is down here. They are not the same, okay? Not even remotely, not even close. Now, it is possible, depending on how it's configured, depending on the permissions of specific organizations, HireEZ may sit over your ATS. It may interact with, it may integrate, it may put profiles into, if it's set up that way. I've never worked with it set up that way. I've always had to use it as a standalone third-party tool. So we'll dig into that as well in just a moment. So what I'm doing in HireEZ, so I've already mentioned the first one is the labor market insights. And so what I mean by that is this is where I am uploading my job description. So I haven't even posted it yet. I try to do this ahead of time because, shutting down recs, reopening them is kind of a pain. So we want to get it right before we ever publish it. So I've done this many, many times in the past. I will take that job description, I will load it into HireEZ, and HireEZ is gonna make sure that, I'm checking all the right boxes. So it's gonna parse, much like the ATS will parse your resume, it's gonna parse my job description into required fields, preferred fields. It's gonna recommend different job titles. If I'm looking for a software engineer, it may be like, don't forget software development engineer, don't forget, something else, senior software engineer, junior software engineer, all the different versions, right? SWE, SDE. So it's gonna kind of recognize that, oh, you're looking for this, you might also wanna look for that. So it's gonna make some recommendations like that. And then once I'm satisfied with all the criteria, I can select or deselect or whatever. I'm now going to hit the insights button. I wish I could show you all this live. I can't log into it and it's, try not to cross those work streams, right? This is my personal job, and yeah, so we won't do it live, sadly, but you can, I'm sure, find a demo online. They're a great little company. But I'm going to go ahead and execute on that search, and it's going to tell me, based on the data that they've collected from the entire internet, how many people potentially exist with these skills. Where are they concentrated? Maybe San Francisco is a hotbed for this kind of talent. Maybe, a big percentage are at ABC company, right? We can even get like rough estimates on compensation, things like that. So there's tons and tons and tons of great data that is extracted from the internet and packaged up in this nice little labor market document. It's brilliant. I show it to hiring managers all the time. And the great part about this is if I have a job description that has just a really crazy laundry list of expectations and, 6, 8, 10 basic qualifications, all of that, I can be like, okay, hiring manager, you've asked for all these things in a bag of chips, and guess what? There's 10 people in the entire country that can do the job. How do we feel about our chances? Not good. Same. All right, what can we take away? And so we can use this to really redirect our expectations and kind of sanity check, what we can live without and what we can train on and where we can really make those minimum qualifications the absolute minimum. You hear me talk about that all the time. And so this is a great way to kind of put that data out there and say like, look, this is what we're finding or not finding, as the case may be. So that's one big thing. Now I'm ready to search. So I want to be clear, I'm still not in my ATS. I'm still not looking at resumes, okay? But now I'm going to source. And when I'm using this as a sourcing tool, now I can start with that job description again, right? I'm probably going to get some good profiles recommended that way. I may want to write a Boolean string, or there's a Boolean builder in this tool that will write a Boolean string for me. I'm just going in and like picking my wish list, my criteria, right? Again, based on those basic qualifications. So the idea here is I'm now able to plug in the specific things that I want to see on a resume or want to see on a profile. And it's going to recommend alternative titles, technologies, etc. We kind of talked about that already a little bit. And then once I'm satisfied with the criteria that I've set, it's going to give me some calibration profiles. And so I can look at those profiles and I can thumbs up or thumbs down. And I'll give you a real world example of this. When I was still hiring SWEs, I would go through this exercise and we'd like plug in the specifics, maybe it was like productivity or test or whatever. And some of the results might be more like program management. So that's going to be a thumbs down, right? Because I'm looking for that hardcore coder, an actual developer who's writing code every day. And that's probably not a PM. So just based on title, based on, the profile info that I have available, I might thumbs down that one. And the more I do that, both the yeses and the nos, the system is going to further refine the search that's happening behind the scenes. And it's going to send me results. And I can set this up to get new results every week. I can do like a one-time search. I can go back and edit an old search and run it again. So there's lots of opportunity there for me to kind of play around with different criteria and, broadening the pool, shrinking the pool, whatever, depending on how much outbound sourcing I have to do. So I want to be really clear. This is completely outbound sourcing. Outbound. This away. Okay? I'm looking for you. You are not looking for me. I'm looking for you. And this kind of effort, this pre-work, this getting really clear and intentional on what it is we're looking for is what allows us to send less and better targeted messages. All those complaints y'all have about, I can't believe you didn't even read my profile and you spammed me for a role that's too junior or blah, 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 blah. If we do this right, if we're leveraging this technology appropriately, I can very, very, very quickly find a short list of people, spend more time crafting a very personalized message to that person and get a way better return on my outreach, on my cold calls, because I've done my homework. Okay. Now, the other thing I'll mention on this, these are not resumes. I think people get stuck on that. They think I'm using this to review resumes and it's not fair because I'm going to be, leaving out people who didn't optimize their profile or whatever. Okay, again, it's no different than searching LinkedIn. Recruiters go into LinkedIn all the time and run searches and Boolean and all that kind of stuff and LinkedIn Recruiter or Sales Navigator or whatever. This is the same thing. This just has a machine learning component over it that reduces the time I'm spending looking at mismatched profiles and refining my search. It does it for me, which is why I love it, because it allows me to spend more time with candidates and with engaging prospects that I need to convince to get in my ATS. Okay. So this is the secret. Okay. This is the trick right here. Outbound, looking at profiles. These profiles are basically gathered from online publicly available data. This is not a tool that you're going to log into and update your profile. This is not LinkedIn. Okay, you control your data on LinkedIn because you can actually go in there and change your profile or add a resume or add a subtract a job or whatever. This is a system like many other third-party aggregators that sits on top of the internet and pulls that data in, creates a profile from everything that you have made publicly available. Okay? If you don't want to come up in this search, get off the internet, like entirely, like go scrub everything and, go off grid, I guess. That's the only way I can think of that you won't come up in a search, is if you literally have zero internet footprint or potentially come up in a search. So these are not resumes. These are profiles of aggregated internet data that you have made available. Once I have those profiles, I'm now doing that outreach. I'm hopefully pitching my opening, my company, my team really well. You're interested in a conversation. Now I'm going to ask you to apply. Now I'm going to do, and again, different companies will do this differently. Some companies I've been able to apply on your behalf. Other companies, I will need you to fill out a quick link or whatever. But now I've got to get you into my ATS. Okay, I've got to actually get you into consideration for a specific role. That's where we're going to ask for the resume. I don't need a resume up here. I'm going to need a resume most likely, or at least a completed application, so that we can start the process. The thing about the ATS, this is inbound. This is where my applicants are coming. Okay, so my sourced candidates are coming in this way. I'm populating that with your help, perhaps. My applicants are people who have proactively on their own, without any intervention from me in most cases, are applying directly to the role. So all roads lead to the ATS at some point. If you want to be interviewed and get an offer, they just do. But how we get there could be different. And that's the big distinction, okay? You have the outbound, I'm proactively going out and finding you. Or you have the inbound, you're proactively applying and wanting to be considered for a role. Now, I will tell you, even if I'm starting here and doing this labor market stuff and kind of getting that, initial data that I need to be more effective, I'm still focusing here. This is still my priority. I love applicants. I love qualified applicants. It saves me all the time I'm spending on this line. Now, there are some recruiters who are full-time sourcers. That's literally their entire job is candidate generation. They love this. They live for this line, right? They live for the outbound and the connecting. And I love that. I work with great sourcers who live here. I live here, right? I'm a lead recruiter. I manage recruiting for multiple business groups. So I really just want the closest path to hire, which sometimes is applicants. So I love them. Also, my sourcers are responsible for reviewing my applicants. So that's not always the case at every company, but in some companies it is. So that's really helpful. Know that we are checking this every day. So my point in all of this, once you're in the ATS, now we're able to do interviews. Now we're able to do offers, right? So the goal is definitely to get you here, get you through the process, hopefully with a positive outcome. But the way that we get you here is different. Outbound, I'm coming to find you. Inbound, you're proactively wanting to be recognized that you're a fit for this role, wanting to get an interview. And the big difference is here, I'm going to leverage more creative search and AI and ML and again, kind of set it and forget it with those searches that I set up every week. Here, you're the one that's initiating contact with us, and we are still manually reviewing, okay? So even when you're coming in this way, like we already probably know that you're a fit and we want to talk to you, there's still going to be a review process here. It still has to be reviewed by the hiring manager and go through all these steps. No AI is happening here. Not in my world. Not in any of the companies I've worked for before. This is very much a manual recruiter-driven process. The initial search to get the profiles is the only place that I'm leveraging that AI ML technology. Last thought on this, because we're way over. One of the concerns that people have is around bias. Okay, well, Amy, that's not fair. You're, not giving a fair chance to people named Bob. Sure we are, but okay. but you know what? It's true. This could lead to bias if my inputs are wrong. Garbage in, garbage out. That's just a fact. I don't care how fancy the tool is. I don't care how far removed from people you think it is. I don't care how important you think AI ML is to solve all the world's bias problems. I'm still inputting the original search criteria. And if I'm biased and I'm saying, I don't ever want to see a job seeker with red hair, it's not an option, by the way, but let's pretend. That's a problem. And it's a me problem. It's not a tool problem. The tool, much like the ATS, literally just sits there and waits for me to give it instructions and tell it what to do. So any bias in the system is my fault. Any poorly reviewed resumes is my fault. Anything, I can only work with the data that I have, of course, so good resumes are important. But the bias is something I need to check, and I need to make sure that when I'm creating my search criteria, when I'm reviewing my job descriptions, and when I'm actually going out to create the messaging for the people I'm finding, that I have done so fairly. I've worked really hard to stay true to the absolute minimum basic qualifications needed for the role, and that I'm doing more screening in than screening out. Okay, so that, my friends, is how I personally use AI in recruiting. I hope that helps. This is just an opportunity for us to work faster and work smarter. It is not intended to remove the people element. It's simply putting information in front of me so that I can very quickly reach out to the folks that I think would be a great fit for our team. All right, I will answer any questions you have down below to the best of my ability. Go check out some demos. You can do some Google searches. You can read up on this stuff. And you can also talk to recruiters who use these tools. I cannot stress enough, y'all, that is the #1 source of truth. Okay, you can learn a little bit from the marketing videos and the demos and the advertisements. Yes, I understand. You can learn what's possible. But then I want you to take that a step further, talk to recruiters, talk to users, and learn what happens. And I think that you're going to find that we're not quite as close to Skynet as some would like us to believe. All right, y'all, I hope that helps. Ask me anything down below. I'll address all of your questions the best I can. And for those that celebrate Christmas, have an awesome one. It's just in a couple days. I got to go finish Christmas shopping. I'll see you next week.